Welcome back. We are back in studio. I was kind of up abroad in another joint for the last few episodes. We were in Nashville for the Simulate show, and I got to have some awesome guests. But you're going to get a lot of me for a minute, so I hope you guys are ready. I thought it would be a great idea to talk about something that I get asked all the time in my DMs, and there's always a great interest on this subject. So the orgasm gap is real. Research shows that straight women orgasm significantly less than their partners during sex. And one of the biggest reasons is that oral intimacy is not being done well or at all. So today we're going to talk about how to actually do this the right way, not the version that happens in the first 5 minutes before, and then it just gets skipped. The real guide for the person giving and the person receiving. It's a quickie. Welcome back, vain ones. Let's go. Welcome to the Law of Cassidy, where we talk intimacy, business, power, healing, and the conversations most people are too uncomfortable to have. I am Cassidy. I'm an entrepreneur, wife, mom, and someone who has spent nearly 2 decades in the intimacy and wellness space. If someone sent you this episode, you are in the right place. This one's for you, right, vain ones. So here's something that I've known for nearly 20 years in this space. Oral intimacy is one of the most direct routes to an orgasm, and that's for most women. Studies consistently show that the majority of women require clitoral stimulation to actually orgasm, and oral intimacy delivers that more directly and more precisely than almost anything else. Okay. So, and yet it's one of the most unevenly practiced acts in heterosexual relationships. Women give it far more often than they receive it. When they do receive, it's frequently rushed, incorrectly done, or cut short before anything actually happens. This is not a taste problem. This is an education problem, and that is what today is for. So we're going to dive right into it. The first thing we're going to start with is the anatomy, because yes, even though you're like, do grown men? Yes, they need to know the freaking anatomy. Okay. So before technique, anatomy 101, because you cannot find what you are looking for if you don't know where it is. Okay. So, hi. Number 1, the clitoris, little man in the boat, the bean, Ruski. Okay. So that is not just the small external nub. That is the tip. The full clitoris structure is shaped like a wishbone, and it actually extends internally along both sides of the vaginal canal. Okay. Several inches in each direction. When aroused, it fills with blood and becomes significantly more sensitive and accessible. The external tip that you can see the glands is where most oral stimulation focuses. It contains more nerve endings per square millimeter than anywhere else on the human body. We can just thank God for that. Okay. Literally just built for pleasure. Thank you. Amen. Okay. So it is also extraordinarily sensitive, meaning too much direct pressure too early is not a feel good. It's actually a feel bad. So start around it and work towards it. Thank me later for that tip. Okay. Then we have the labia. So that is the inner and outer labia are part of the pleasure system. You may not know this, so welcome to class. Okay. So they actually are not just there for like geography. Okay. The inner labia specifically are highly sensitive and respond to light touch. Try it. Okay. Warmth, they like pressure. Do not skip them. They are not the warm-up act. They are part of the actual main event. And the first third of the actual vaginal opening has significant nerve endings. So light touch or pressure at the just little entrance. I want you to think about it like, ladies, when you're having intercourse and like right as he starts to enter that, like, oh my gosh, it feels so good. And then he like passes that is that in like first little area. Okay. So it can add so much to the full experience. fingers here while focusing orally elsewhere is one of the most effective combinations. Okay. And if ladies are listening to this, you're like, oh my gosh, this is great information. Send this to your partner. Thank me later. Okay. So psychologically, wow. Hi. We're not going to edit that out because I think it's good for you guys to know that sometimes I can't read. Okay. Why she can't get out of her head is, here's the thing that most people do not understand about oral intimacy for women. The physical technique is only half of it. Maybe actually it's probably less of it. Okay. Women are so socialized to worry about how they look, how they smell, whether they are taking too long, whether their partner is bored or uncomfortable and wants to stop. That mental noise is the enemy of the actual orgasm. So a woman who is in her head cannot be in her body. That is so true. I say it over and over again, that the biggest orgasm organ in your body is actually your brain. Okay. So she cannot get out of her head unless the environment makes it safe. So how do you create a safe environment? So enthusiasm matters. Okay. Way more than any type of technique. A partner who approaches it like this is a gift rather than a task that changes the entire experience. Okay. So she can feel the difference, act like you want to be there, because if you don't want to actually be there, she will know. Okay. And she will shut down. Second, remove the pressure to actually orgasm. I say this all the time, especially when it comes to sex and intercourse. You guys are skipping the best part. Okay. So remove the pressure. The moment she feels like she needs to produce an orgasm or produce a finish, so you are satisfied, is just, the result just becomes impossible and it just doesn't happen. And then it just causes frustration in the relationship. The goal is her pleasure, not a specific endpoint, and remove the finish line and she'll actually get there much faster. Just saying. And then third, no commentary that creates self-consciousness. Please, for the love of freaking God. Okay. Certain sounds or words mid-session make her aware of her body in a way that pulls her out of the experience. Literally. So learn what pulls her in versus what pulls her out. And that comes down to communication. That comes down to actually talking about this before you're doing it. I know that seems weird. It's so weird to me. We live in a world where everyone can just be bumping uglies, but nobody can talk about the act of the bumping uglies. It's wild. But I'm here to tell you that if you talk about the act before the act and not during, way better. Okay. So how, next we're going to go to a few technique tips. Okay. So here's what actually works. And we're doing this in order. So tip number 1, start with the full body first. Do not go straight to that direction. Inner thighs, stomach, hips, warm up the entire area before you go anywhere near the actual clitoris. The blood flow and arousal you build in the surrounding areas makes the eventual direct stimulation significantly more powerful. I mean, think about it. They read about it in their books, right? They watch them in the movies, this full, I'm obsessed with your entire body. I want to engulf it. That leads to a better full experience for her. Okay. Skipping this step is probably the single most common mistake. And men are just built different, right? They're just thinking oh, let's just go straight for the kill, where the lead up is actually the best part. Argue with me if you don't agree, but I think it's the best part. Okay. So 2, you need to use warmth and breath before actual content. I can't talk today. Warmth and breath before actual contact. Okay. Okay. So breathing warm air over the area before making contact is underrated, as one of the best techniques. Think about that. Oh my gosh, it's right there. It's almost happening. This is so good. You're just feeling it. It's creating this tension that is just electric. Okay. So anticipation of touch combined with warmth in its own form is its own form of hell yes, this is freaking amazing. Let her feel what is about to happen before it happens. And I think these are the moments where we're I want that spark back in my relationship. These are the things we stop doing and we need to do. Stop rushing, take a pause, slow down, be in the moment, make her literally just want it so bad, because when it actually happens, it's 300 times better. Okay. The alphabet technique, I mean, some people believe in it, some people don't. Oh, I skipped a step. I got excited. Number 3, start slow, always. Okay. So the clitoris is extremely sensitive. And fun fact, you probably didn't know, every clitoris is like different. Like some people are overly sensitive in their clitoral area where others aren't. Okay. Some people like it on the right. Some people like it on the left of the clitoris. Everyone's a little different. You got to learn. Okay. Too much direct pressure too soon is actually uncomfortable and it's not pleasurable for her. Okay. So start with like a wide, like flat tongue. Okay. And do strokes like around the area, not direct, and light. Okay. So slow, let that sensitivity build before you increase the pressure or speed. You guys, it's like preheating for a reason, and it's so much better that way. Finally, we're on to tip number 4, the alphabet technique. So a classic for a reason. You can trace like different letters with your tongue slowly with variation in size and pressure. The reason we say this is because I think no one really goes to school on how to eat her out unless you're listening to this podcast. And this is a great way to not overthink the process and you to feel like you're actually doing something right. Pro tip though, my pro tip is going to be that you want to keep doing something. If she's like grinding into it and like moaning and like loving what you're doing, you probably don't want to go to letter E, F, G if D is where it's at. You know what I mean? You picking up what I'm putting down? So just write out the D. Okay. So 5 is consistent pressure and rhythm is everything. So this goes into what I was just saying. I get so excited. I talk too fast. So once you find what's working, stay with it. Okay. This is where I bet 90% of you fail the test. You find a motion that is building something and then you change it. Don't change it. When she says don't stop, she means do not stop. Okay. So stop changing it. You don't need to try something new because literally just keep doing what you're freaking doing. I know you think variety is better. I know you think you're like the tongue twisting master of who knows what. Nope. Just keep doing what's working and don't stop. Okay. Stay consistent, patient, and relentless, and she will absolutely just melt like butter. Okay. Tip 6, you need to add your fingers strategically. Okay. 1 or 2 fingers at the vaginal opening or on the G spot while continuing that oral stimulation externally is one of the most effective combinations in existence. Okay. So many people skip this. They're thinking, okay, I'm doing the whole oral dynamic thing. I don't need to be. No, you do. Remember those nerve endings in that first little area? That's where the magic is. So imagine doing that while eating her out. Mind blowing good. Mind blowing good. Use your fingers. Okay. And 7 is read her body, not your assumptions. Not something you saw in a corn movie, not something you saw in a video. You need to read her body. Okay. Her body will tell you what is working. Okay. Muscle tension, sounds, hip movement. If the girl is grinding her punana into your face, it's probably a good sign. Okay. Breathing changes. These are your feedback. Learn to read them instead of relying on what you think should work. Every woman is different. It is a fact. And your job is to learn her specifically. And if you learn her inside out, literally, you're going to have like the best sex of your life. Thank me later. Okay. And for the love of everything holy, please do not stop when she is close. If you can tell something is building, do not change anything. This is the most important tip on this entire fucking list. Okay. The moment she is close is the moment most people get excited and change the pressure or the speed or your position. Do not, whatever you are doing, keep doing it. Exactly that until she is done, and then check in and move on to the next. You know, we've done the like beginning. Let's get into the, you know what I mean? But don't stop doing what you're doing if it's working. Okay. So we're going to go over some common mistakes because you may not realize it, but you very well could be doing it and she may not be communicating it to you. And this podcast may very well change your life. Thanks. Okay. So mistake number 1, you are going too fast, way too soon. This is probably one of the most common mistakes. The clitoris needs warm up. Okay. Starting, like I said, with that direct, hard pressure on the clitoris before she's aroused, it feels terrible. It is not a fun dynamic. Start slow, start broad, let that sensitivity build, okay? Mistake number 2, stopping when something is working. I know I'm repeating myself like a broken record here, and I keep saying this. It's because it's that freaking important, okay? So you found the thing. She's responding to the thing, and you switch it up. Stop switching. When something is working, stay there. Consistency is the actual technique, okay? Mistake number 3, rushing to get to penetration. I feel like this should be the top mistake. I don't know what it is, but men just, they just rush through. Okay, oral intimacy is not the appetizer. For many women, it is the main course, okay? Treat it that way. Give it time. It actually takes, research shows it can take 20 minutes or more of sustained stimulation for most women to reach that orgasm. That's not a problem. That is just information, and run with it, okay? Mistake number 4, you're not using your freaking hands, okay? Hands-free oral intimacy misses one of the most powerful combinations available. Like we talked about, those little fingers, little opening. Double the stimulation. There's a reason toys have double the stimulation. Turn yourself into that, okay? Use both. Mistake number 5 is treating it like some big performance instead of a conversation. Oral intimacy works best when both people are communicating through sounds, movement, checking in, adjusting. If you are performing a technique instead of responding to an actual person, she can feel it. So be present, pay attention, and adjust accordingly. And mistake number 6, making her feel like she's taking too long. And I know a lot of you are probably chronic people that do this over and over again. So sighing, shifting positions, checking the clock. I would kill a man if he ever checked the clock. Dude, what the? Okay, I digress. Anyways, looking up with like some weird expression that says you are waiting for something to happen. She feels all of it. And this is why so many women are insecure about this, okay? So, and the moment she feels like a burden, it's over. Be patient, be intentional, mean it. And this could be like some of the best like connections and closeness you guys have ever had, okay? So let's talk about communication, how to ask and how to tell. Because I think this is where most people struggle. And I think this is why I'm so passionate about what I do, that I can help people figure out how to communicate. Like I said, it is wild to me that the world is very comfortable with bumping uglies all the time, but we can't talk about bumping uglies. Why? So odd. Don't know. Whatever. So we're going to talk about it. So for her, how do you tell your partner what you need? You don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to bruise their ego. You're like super stressed. Okay. So the most effective thing a woman can do during oral intimacy is communicate. And most women, sorry, ladies, you're not doing it because you have been you weren't taught that your need is important and that you should like voice it. So I'm here to tell you, you need to freaking voice it. Okay. Your feedback is an actual gift. It tells your partner exactly what to do. Without it, they're just down there guessing, hoping and praying and wishing. What was that song? Anyways, ADD. Squirrel. Okay. So you don't have to narrate if you don't want to use words, if it's in the middle of the moment. A sound, a hand on their head, or guiding pressure, a simple yes or stay there or right there or slower. Any of these words will work. Okay. Start with whatever feels the least vulnerable and build from there. Okay. For the giver, ask, like, how do you ask to, and how do you check in? Before, not during. Have a general conversation about what she likes and what she does not. What a pace, what pressure, what makes her feel good versus what pulls her out of the moment. What makes her brain just keep running in her head. And you need to ask like you genuinely are interested and you want to actually know. Because if you ask it like a checkbox, you will get a freaking checkbox answer. And I'm here for no checkbox intimacy. Let's stop checking a box. I hate checking boxes. I feel like I was raised in a checkbox culture. Everybody checks a box. We're not checking a box here, okay? So pay more attention to her body than any plan you had walking in. The feedback is happening in real time and you need to learn to read it. And the best way to do that for the gentleman is actually like pausing and being intentional and not just getting excited and thinking about what's coming next. Okay. After, ask again what felt good, not in a grade seeking way, like, oh yeah, was that the best you ever felt? No. Okay. You want it to be in a genuine, like curious way. So the information you get after is how you do it better next time. So take notes and study your way through it. Okay. Yep. Okay. So like I said, this was a little quickie, shorty, but we're going to do my regs. So confessions from the DMs. So first one says, I cannot enjoy receiving oral intimacy because I am too in my head about how I look, smell, and whether he is bored. I want to enjoy it, but I cannot turn my brain off. Help. Okay. So like I said, this is probably one of the most common things I hear, and it is not a you problem. It is a safety problem. Two things. First, communicate this to your partner. Tell them that your brain gets loud and ask them to do one specific thing that makes you feel less self-conscious. Maybe it's more enthusiasm, a specific word, whatever pulls you back into that moment. Second, practice being in your body solo first. Masturbation actually helps you learn what it's like to be present in pleasure without anyone watching. The practice carries over. You're not broken. You're just in your head, and your head can learn new patterns. That's why I truly believe in masturbation. Fire me. People are like, oh, that's terrible. Whatever. Like, I think it's probably one of the best ways for you to have a phenomenal sex life. And it has nothing to do with your partner not being enough. It is actually learning your body and learning how to show and communicate with your partner. So moving forward, you can have mind-blowing sex all the time. Raise your hand if you're here for that. Yes. Okay. Next, DM2. Oh, I hate this one. Then if you are listening, don't be a douche canoe. Okay. My husband will do it, but he makes it very obvious he does not enjoy it. I can feel his energy the whole time, and I end up faking a response just to end it. How do I fix this? Ugh. Okay, you cannot fix his enthusiasm, but you can have an honest conversation. I can feel when you are not into it, and it makes it impossible for me to be into it. Either we figure out how to make it this something you actually want to give me, or we talk about what that means for our intimacy, okay? That is not an ultimatum. That is called honesty. That is called vulnerability. That is called you deserve a partner who wants to be there. That is a reasonable standard, okay? So if you're the one who fakes it, first, shame on you. Stop faking it. You're making it worse. If you're the dude, I'm sorry, that truly believes she should give you a blowy, but yet you don't need her out. I don't know what your problem is, but your insecurity is so loud. It is like nauseating. And I'm here to tell you, ew, figure out your life. Because I don't think she should give you any blowjobs if you're not eating her out. This seems like a you problem. But this is what I hate. Like, this is a thing. Like, I get this message all the time. So, bros, stop expecting and not giving. It's gross. Douche canoe behavior. And yeah, I said douche canoe. Okay. All right. So this week, oh, wait. I got another DM. Okay. I want more oral intimacy in my relationship, but I feel embarrassed to ask for it. How do I bring this up without being weird? Okay. Outside the bedroom, not in the moment. Thank you. I don't know what it is. I mean, I've done this. Like, you're like in the middle. It's like so good. And then you like pause and you're like giving like a play. But my husband hates it. He's like, babe, you're just ruining the moment. So you need to do it like outside of the bedroom, and don't do it like right before or right after, because that's just like, this is how I want this to go. And it makes it awkward, weird. Or it's just like you weren't good enough and it makes it awkward, weird. This needs to be like date night conversation. Okay. Or something before. Okay. Way before. So frame it as something you want more of rather than something he's doing wrong. Dudes love that. Like if you're like telling him like, oh, I really love it when you X, or it drives me wild when you Y. Okay. So I would love it to be more of a regular part of what we do. This is like a complete sentence. You are not asking for something unreasonable. You are telling your partner what you want That is the whole job. And dudes are into that stuff. And if he isn't, douche canoe. I keep saying that, but it's true. Okay, this week's Covet This is for the couple who just heard tip 6. Add fingers strategically and wants the right tool to make that dual stimulation effortless, okay? So the WeVibe Rave 2, ergonomically, it's designed specifically for G-spot stimulation. It has like a twisted shape, like there's like a ledge in the middle of it, like it's just twisted, okay? And it has this like adjustable hinge part, so you can keep it right on target while your hands and mouth work externally. So it has 2 motors, it's app controlled, it's waterproof, and it is actually rechargeable. The Rave 2 is the actual like internal component, while you remain the external one while he's like just focused with his mouth all over that area. That combination, toy internally, him externally, is probably one of the most reliably effective setups for orgasm during oral intimacy. And I call this the OG spot bundle. So you can do the Rave 2 plus the G How I Adore You cream. So it's the links in the show notes. Give her that combination and it actually works and it's super fun. Just get ready. Things are going to get wet and wild. Okay. So here I am wrapping up this quickie with the law of Cassidy. You know, I love to always give my little law. So the orgasmic gap is not inevitable, okay? It is the result of bad information and rushed execution and a culture that has treated female pleasure as secondary for way too long. So that gap closes with one honest conversation and one actually attentive experience at a time. So learn her anatomy, create safety for her brain, stay when something is working, okay? And ask what she needs. And give it the time it actually freaking takes. Stop rushing without making her feel like she's taking too long, because that's the worst. So her pleasure is not a performance. It is the actual point, okay? And that's the law. So this is your quickie, the real guide. Send this to your partner. Both of you listen, then have the conversation. Please DM me and tell me what shifted. I read everything. I am Cassidy. This is the Law of Cassidy, and I will see you next week, vain ones.